Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm your host, Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a good day. Ladies and gentlemen, we are day 30 of 31 perfect albums. Yes, day 30. As I've said throughout the course of this series, the idea of this series is for everyone out there watching to pick an album, however many albums you want. We've picked 31 in our case that you think are perfect from track one to track infinity. Doesn't matter how many tracks are on an album that you're listening to. Double albums are actually welcome as well. I want to welcome back to the show uh, my illustrious panel here. We have Ken Cheshire. How's it going, Ken?
Doing well. Thank you very much. How about you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. We're almost at the end of this, guys.
That's right.
We also have Bill Schuster. How's it going, Bill?
Good, Armando. Greetings, gentlemen. Doing well. I'm glad to be here. Glad we're as much fun as it's been. I'm glad we're nearing the end of this one, ready to embrace a new adventure.
Yes, yes, yes. Life is an adventure, isn't it? And the one and only, the reason why we're all here, Mr. Jim Bricker. How's it going, Jim?
I'm doing fine, but I would like to clarify the reason that we're here is that the 31 perfect albums was my idea. But, I would also venture to say the reason that we're here, Armando, is that you've got this great channel and little community that you've developed, and we all have a good time talking about the stuff that you have corralled for us. So,
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for that. No, no, no. No, I appreciate that. Um, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said, we're at day 30 of 31 perfect albums. So we will start this episode. We're going to Ken to give us his pick for day 30.
Thank you, Armando.
You're very welcome.
I'm staying in 1997, September 23rd in particular, with one of my favorite all-time artists, Mr. Todd Rundgren. This
Oh,
album would normally be considered a greatest hits album, except I think the title of the album explains it all. It's called With a Twist, where Todd took 11 of his old songs. I Saw the Light, Can We Still Be Friends? It wouldn't have made any difference. Hello, It's Me. The Dream Goes On Forever. 11 songs done in a bossa nova style. Um,
yeah, that's a twist. All right.
that's a twist. It is a twist, and it's such an incredible twist. Um, And interestingly enough, as good as he is playing just about every instrument on the face of the earth, he only sings here. He uses a quartet that really understands the bossa nova style, and it's very. I mean, I don't know that much about bossa nova, but I've read many times that it's very authentic in form, in sound, and instrumentation. Um, and so he left it to the experts. I would have loved to have seen this tour particular because um, on this tour, on stage, he had set up a tiki bar, if you know what a tiki bar is. And the on stage was a smaller stage with him and the band. And then surrounding were little tables, like in a tiki bar. And he would choose random people from the audience to sit on stage and
Mhm.
share a drink and listen to the band on stage, playing to the audience. And it just sounds like it would have been a hoot, especially if you got chosen to be on stage with Todd Rundgren.
Mhm.
Uh, but anyway, but that's him. He's very imaginative. These songs are arranged and work wonderfully. This is a very relaxing album. Like I say, just a small quartet, so it's not heavily instrumented. If I make up a word, um,
Not a lot of instrumentation. Is that right?
yes, we'll go with your word.
Okay,
And
okay.
it's funny. Um, but it's just wonderful to hear these songs that I've, 40 years old, 40 to 50 years old, that are a part of my soul, to hear them done in a complete different style, yet very good. Normally, sometimes we hear covers and it's just like, I'm going to stick with the original. Thank you very much. But this is one that a whole album that I go back to, 11 perfect songs in this new arrangement. And after all these years, I'm still never tired of it. I can't say that way about a lot of albums. Um, a lot of artists, on Twitter, we talk about a lot of music, and some of it I loved when it came out, but after 30, 40, 50 years, it's like, okay, I've, I've
Yeah,
reached the saturation point.
yeah, it happens. Yeah.
This isn't one. And again, I've said this many times on this series. This is an album I saw in the cutout bin for $1.99 in the record store. And I figured, well, that must not be a good album. But at some point, I picked it up and said, holy cow, what was I waiting for, as you like to say, Armando? So, yeah,
I see
with a
how long.
twist, Todd Rundgren, Bossa Nova of his greatest hits. I highly recommend it.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah,
Didn't think it would be on any of y'all's list. So
I've heard of the album and I know what it's about, and just for that, I'm not a fan of Bossa Nova, so I didn't even really bother with
no,
it.
that's fair enough.
Um, but no, interesting choice. Good choice.
Well, I like Brazilian jazz, so it kind of has that loose connection to it.
Yeah,
So it wasn't completely alien, but I get what you're saying.
it's fine. That's fine. Okay, over to Bill.
All right, thank you, sir. Yeah, I'm thinking anything. It, it, Todd goes all out, whether you love it or hate it. He's all in there. It's always going to be interesting. I've never heard with a twist. I've heard of it. Now I'm curious because I do like bossa nova, though I'm no expert either.
Mhm.
So that sounds intriguing. Right, but I'm going a completely different direction than Todd. Though who knows with Todd, he's probably going this direction, or he will at some point. So, my 2013 selection, as I mentioned previously, was Steven Wilson. So that's one of the reasons there is no Steven Wilson for my 2015 selections here. There are two 2015 selections that will close out this list for me. And the thing about the my top three albums of that year is they're all concept albums from three very different genres. One of them obviously was Steven Wilson in the progressive rock genre, which I'm not including because I included The Raven. So the other two concept albums, well, the first one is Kendrick Lamar, To Pimp a Butterfly.
Oh,
Yeah, this is give you an idea of the music here. Obviously, this is a rap hip hop album here generally, but it incorporates a lot of jazz and blues and all kinds of cool stuff. Just to give you a quick idea of some of the players, there's Robert Glasper and Thundercat and Kamasi Washington, and just to give you an idea of the vibe of this. It's a real musical stew. It's all over the place. It never loses interest musically. There's always something different from one song to the next. The only thing I would say is take this warning seriously. The content is very explicit. If you get upset by language, if you are unable to handle hearing the N word or F bombs or all kinds of stuff like that, run far away. This is not your content.
Mhm.
Music or not, this is not going to be your jam. But if you can deal with all that stuff and try to get into the story, the basic story, which I'm still trying to piece together 9 years past, it's him having an imaginary conversation with the late Tupac Shakur. Um, There's these interludes in between the songs. This was a very commercially and critically successful album. I didn't think I'd be into it. My son Neil turned me on to it years ago, and it stayed with me ever since. To the point that I had to buy a vinyl copy because I really wanted to delve into it. And yeah, so yeah, this is not my usual fare. There's the interior, and I still have not unwrapped all the mysteries of this album. I'm not going to tell you I'm an expert on it because I'm not. But I can tell you when I put it on, I want to play it from start to finish, and I learn new things each time. I hear things I didn't hear before, pick up on things in the lyrics and the story that I didn't pick up before. So that alone makes it pretty great to me that it can keep my interest like that. So yeah, that's the first of my 2015 concept albums here. So we've got the Stephen Wilson prog album that I didn't count, the Kendrick Lamar hip hop album. What will my final concept album of 2015 be? Tune in next time to our final concluding episode.
I'm counting on Liberace from you. If you're
Well,
going to go
he's
from
already
Stephen
dead, I'm
Wilson to
afraid.
Kendrick Lamar, I'm thinking Liberace's greatest hits or something like that, you know?
It was too late for Liberace by then.
Okay.
I think it's going to be Taylor Swift.
Okay.
I think so.
Oh, that would be something.
That would be interesting. Yeah, it would be.
It's not too late to pull an audible and just make that happen, Bill.
Especially if all three of us chose Taylor Swift for the
Yeah,
last.
yeah.
Oh, you know, we
God.
And watch Armando's head explode.
Yeah,
Exactly. Exactly.
might
All
cancel
right.
the whole series.
Moving on over to Jim.
okay. Bill, I was Bill, I was listening to you describe To Pimp a Butterfly, talk about kind of listening to it and always finding something new, having it be this kind of, mishmash of styles. Of the one thing my choice has or doesn't have is that the language warning on it. But there's this one is also a concept album, and this finally gets me into the 2000s. Finally does not have me be the time laggard. That trophy now gets passed to Ken, so he has that. And this is The Way Up, the 2005 album from Pat Metheny Group. Bill, I don't know if you get sick and tired of us harping on Metheny, but here's the last one, at least from me. The Way Up, The Way Up is 168 piece of music, 68-minute piece of music. If you get the Japanese version, it's 172-minute piece of music. It's basically this composition it's divided into 4 tracks just to throw listeners a bone, but really it's a 70-minute piece that just blurs the lines of jazz, rock, classical, trip hop, folk. It's all in there. Written by Pat Metheny and his keyboardist partner Lyle Mays. I think the idea is to try to. There's a quote here that I have is that Pat says, "We realized that there were no limits to how far we could take our desire to expand things," and that is what they did. They basically took the forms and conceits of classical music. When you talk about leitmotif, Ken, you were talking about that in an earlier episode. Themes, recapitulations of themes, restatements, rearrangements, and you'll find those things throughout this piece of music. And it really took me about 5 times for me listening to the whole thing for everything to connect in terms of identifying, holy crap, this thing that I'm hearing at 43 minutes is this subtle restatement of this other beautiful thing that happened at around 12 minutes. And that's when the whole thing kind of came together for me as this one contiguous piece of music. it is really it's the final Pat Metheny group album. Pat's still doing stuff, but not as the group anymore, and that most of that has to do with the passing of Lyle Mays. This is it's the only Metheny group album I have on my perfect album list. I probably could have put 6 or 7 or 9 of them on there, but this one for me is just an absolutely stunning piece of music. At times it's overwhelming, just about how much is coming at you, especially once you get to the crescendo. It's one of those, tear-inducing moments that I get from music at times, just the way everything kind of blends and collides and all the themes come together to the finish. Again, very much like a classical work with just unbelievable cathartic crescendo. I don't care what kind of music you like. This album definitely deserves a listen. And I think it is, the more time you spend with it, going back to your Pimp a Butterfly, the more you'll discover, the more you'll see the threads interwoven and restated, and how it just brings this whole thing to a tighter, um, just to a tight, cohesive whole. The theme of the album, basically is they wanted to do something that sort of challenged conceptions of music, conceptions of what was going on in popular culture at the time. This was kind of like their stake in the ground to say there is a better way to do things, and this was their contribution to that, the way up. 2005 Pat Metheny group, worth every minute of the 68 or the 72 if you're in Japan.
Really
Japanese
good
always get
choice.
extra stuff. They always get the extra music.
They do.
Really good choice. Yeah, it is a good album. It takes you on a journey, and from listening to the album, because you and I did a show on Pat Metheny. To me, what I got from the album is nothing is impossible musically. You can do whatever you want. There are no limits. Right. So no, it is a good choice. It is a good choice.
We'll say, I bet, I think at this point we can say Pat Metheny in general is the overall champion of this countdown. I don't think
For us,
any
Pretty
other
for us
much.
artist.
guys.
Pretty much. Pretty much. And yeah, he is coming out with a new album, ladies and gentlemen. And in a week's time, or a couple of weeks' time, actually, Moondial.
Jim, didn't they also release a live version of this?
There is a live DVD Blu-ray that was
That's
released,
it.
that was recorded in Seoul, I believe.
I
Yeah.
think so.
And it's phenomenal. It
Yeah,
it
I have
takes the basic pieces and extends them here and there as need be. Like, it's like, wow, I didn't think I needed a trumpet solo right there, but turns
that.
out I did.
Yeah.
So do you think it improves upon the original?
Yes. And I was lucky enough to see them perform this in Santa Cruz, and one of my greatest live experiences ever, just for them to come out. And it's like the first 65 minutes is this whole thing, undaunted, uninterrupted, just going for it. And the DVD captures that pretty darn well.
Nice.
And now there's something else I have to look up and try and buy. And
Just say no, Armando. Just say no.
I can, it's an addiction.
Just buy
Anyways.
the giant box set.
That's right.
Exactly. Make
Very
Pat an offer he
cute.
can't refuse.
Very
That's right.
cute. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we must carry on. My pick, thank you, Jim. My pick for day 30, we are going to July 27th, 2004, for the release of Hymns of the 49th Parallel from K.D. Lang. My God, this is another title for this album could have been Songs of the Great Canadian Songbook, because what KD Lang has done with this album has taken, there are 11 cuts. She's taken 10 tracks, all from Canadian artists. She does covers from Neil Young, Joni Mitchell, Ron Sexsmith, uh, Bruce Cockburn, Gene Siberry. Beautiful. And she does a reinterpretation of one of her songs from her album Invincible Summer called Simple. It's her and producer, multi-instrumentalist Ben Mink, violinist, also guitarist, session musician who's worked with other artists such as Murray McLaughlin, FM, Canadian uh, progressive rock band FM featuring Nash the Slash. On this album, you have reworkings of After the Gold Rush, um, Helpless, A Case of You, The Valley, Hallelujah, Leonard Cohen. I forgot to mention Leonard Cohen. One Day I Walk, Bruce Cockburn, Fallen from Ron Sexsmith, Jericho from Joni Mitchell, Bird on a Wire, again, Leonard Cohen, and she ends off the album with the beautiful Love Is Everything from Jane Siberry. What to me, this album is a jewel. A jewel. It should be discussed more. KD Lang, her voice to me is an instrument. It is an instrument, and she uses it beautifully. She does a beautiful rendition of Hallelujah. It is just so gentle, but yet powerful at the same time. Her vocals can soar to the skies and back. I'm telling you. A little side note, she was performing at the Northern Jubilee Auditorium here, must have been 2015, I believe, and Bob and I were in the third row, and it was one of the best performances I've ever seen. There was a woman in the first row filming the show with her phone. Katie walks over to her and stops the band and says, "What are you doing?" She said, "Well, she's like, "What are you doing? You're missing this. You're missing what's happening right now. Put the phone away and just enjoy what is going on in front of you right now. Just be with us and have a good time. Please put the phone away now." Turns around, cues the band back in. Okay, you know what? That is control. That is sublime, beautiful, majestic control. Okay. This album, for me, again, it's very understated in terms of the production that's on it. A lot of piano, uh, very stripped down, but no less powerful. The song "The Valley" for me was a song. It kept coming into my head. All like at various points, but I remember I was moving out of my apartment in 2010. It was April 16th. Everything was being moved out, and her voice from the song, her vocals came in from the song "The Valley," and I'm looking around my apartment because I had spent 11 years in that apartment, right? And her vocals just kept coming into my head, and I'm looking around the apartment and I'm crying because I'm moving on to another chapter in my life, right? I'm leaving what I've known as comfort and moving into the unknown. And this song was playing in my head. I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, she is that good. She is that powerful with her voice. Ladies and gentlemen, please check this album out, Hymns of the 49th Parallel. You will not be disappointed. It's a very short album, 40 some odd minutes, and you can sit there with a coffee or a drink, have the lights low or off, and just let her voice just wash over you. It is beautiful, simply beautiful. Please check it out. That is my pick for day 30. Have any of you heard this album?
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about, and I'm, resisting every temptation to just kind of talk about the Valley and Jane's, original version of it as well ad infinitum, because I know we have a tight schedule.
No, no, no. I'll give you a minute. Go ahead.
The thing that makes this song so absolutely gripping
Yeah.
is that it goes back to um it's basically goes back to a psalm. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you are with me. And the whole song is about hope in the darkness, and faith and comfort, and just basically, like the saying goes, if you're going through hell, keep going. And you know, KD does, uh she does Jane a great tribute in how she pulled off that song. I mean, they've worked together obviously on other things, but as good as Katie's version is, I think Jane Siberry's version from the album Bound by the Beauty is pretty untouchable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's my minute spiel on the Valley.
I'm yeah, I agree with you. I think with this album, getting back to KD, I think she really does use her voice as an instrument. Her voice is an instrument. She has such control um with her voice, and she can lull you into a state of like acceptance and bliss. That's all I can say about it. And that song, The Valley, really got me through when I was making the move to Edmonton and just, I'm starting a new chapter. I don't know what's going to happen. Um, but it was that powerful and that moving for me that, yeah, no, I had to put this on the list. I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? This album needed to be on this list, and every song works. Every song works. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, our picks for day 30 of 31 perfect albums. This series has been fantastic for me just to go through these lists with these three individuals. And yeah, we have one more to go. One more to go. Yes, one more. So for Bill, Jim, and Ken, I'm Armando signing off for now. Please look after yourselves and one another. Before I forget, please put down in the comments your choices for what you believe is a perfect album. Again, I'll reiterate, Taylor Swift is included. Don't worry about that. No judgments, no gripes, nothing. Just put down what you think is a perfect album for you. We will be back with the final episode in this series, day 31 of 31 perfect albums. Please look after yourselves and one another. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.